Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
So you're walking down the street one day and you look down, there's an envelope. You pick it up, it's filled with cash. What do you do? Well, John sent me notes yesterday, said, Steve, check out the story from northcentralpa.com. Man charged for picking up money envelope in parking lot. And it can actually be a crime, but it depends what state you're in and how the facts play out. So this story is pretty short, pretty straightforward. A 40-year-old Brooklyn man was charged after he picked up and kept an envelope of money that he found in a gas station parking lot. The man now faces theft charges for the alleged incident going back to July in the parking lot of a gas station in Kelly Township. The state police were dispatched to the store shortly before noon for a theft report. Now, the victim told police that she dropped a bank envelope containing $286 as she got back into her vehicle, according to the affidavit. When she discovered she was missing the envelope, she went back to the store, gas station store, and spoke to a manager. The manager reviewed surveillance footage that showed the victim had dropped the envelope in a parking space. The male suspect, later confirmed to be this person, pulled into the parking stall after the victim left and picked up the envelope. Then allegedly left in his vehicle with the envelope of money, and that's written up by a trooper. Police were able to trace the vehicle to the man through the license plate. And the trooper noted that the man's license, registration, and insurance were all suspended. So there's another wrinkle in it at that point. He's been charged with misdemeanor theft and for the various vehicle issues. And so that will be set for a preliminary hearing that's coming up. And that's the end of the story. So something's laying on the ground, you pick it up. Have you committed a crime at that point? And at that point, you have not. It depends on what you do with what you picked up and what state you're in. So I'm going to let you know right now that I'm familiar with the law in Michigan very well because I am an attorney in Michigan. And in Michigan, the law on this is MCL 434.22. 434.22. And it's called duty of person finding lost property. And the way it works in Michigan and many states is that if you find something that appears to be valuable and lost, that, well, you know it ain't yours, you didn't drop it. And so you have a duty to report it to law enforcement and to deliver it to them. And then, depending on the state you're in, but what generally happens is, if it's cash, okay? If no one comes forward to claim it within a certain period of time, then you can make a claim for it. But as you might guess, in some states, the state itself will say, well, we have an ownership right in anything that's lost and found in this state that's not claimed. So you may have to share it with the state. And there's a famous case out of Michigan where a guy was out hiking in the woods and came across a suitcase filled with cash. And he thought, that's interesting. And he went to the police department and said, guys, I found this suitcase full of cash. And the things that happened after that almost became comical because the police at one point suggested to him that maybe this was a bad contraband transaction and perhaps his life might be in danger. But long story short, they wound up litigating it and fighting over it because it was so much money. And in that case like that, where you have to litigate to get something that you found but wasn't yours to begin with, trust me, almost no one wins in a situation like that. But here, like I said, in Michigan, if you find it, you have to actually report it. Now, some people say that's wrong. I've walked along and found something laying on the ground. Well, if you find a $5 bill laying on the ground, okay, I don't think they're expecting you to go to the police station. Excuse me, I found a $5 bill. And in fact, riding my bike a couple years ago, I saw a $20 bill. It's amazing what you can see from your bike if you're... And I remember once as a kid finding a bank envelope that had cash in it, but it was in the street. And it wasn't that much money. And again, but here it's $286. the woman drops it, and it gets picked up almost immediately with somebody who picks it up and drives off with it. And you don't want to be doing anything that draws attention to yourself if you've got, suspended license, registration, and insurance either, because those things could add up as well. In fact, I'm willing to bet you that the fine for driving while license suspended and while registration is suspended and insurance suspended, I have a sneaky feeling that fine is more than $286. So I suppose there is some justice in this world, if you like to believe in those kinds of things. But somebody drops their money, give it back to them. But I'm not going to suggest that, if you're walking on a path out in the middle of nowhere and you find just a $10 bill. But interestingly, the law is on the books. And as with all laws on the books, I didn't put them there. The laws were written by legislators. And so, if you don't like the law, talk to your legislator. So again, here in Michigan, it's the duty of person finding lost property, and they're required to report it and deliver it to law enforcement. And there's a whole process you go through as you determine who gets it if the true owner doesn't show up. I've been asked before, Steve, metal detecting. Let's get into the weeds here on some hypothetical questions. Let's suppose you are metal detecting and you found something of value. Are you then required to go and report it? Have you ever done that? No, I never have. Never have. And the reason is that if you read the statute, it's the duty of a person finding lost property. And then the statute describes how to find the true owner. And so if I'm out in the middle of a park someplace and I dig down 8 inches and find a large cent, which pretty much went out of circulation in the 1850s. Theoretically, they could have been used after that, but people did stop using them shortly after the smaller coins came out. But if it's 8 inches down and it got there on its own, the true owner of that large cent is no longer around. They're not. And if the point of the statute is to return stuff to their original owners, it presumes 2 things: that the original owner is still around and that we can identify that person. Can we identify the person who dropped that large cent in the city park 150 years ago or whatever it might be? And of course, the answer is no, we can't. We can't. So, no, haven't ever done that, but thanks for asking. But a lot of people are surprised to know that this is a law on the books, and the fact that the man has been charged with theft. That's one of those things where, there's probably a classification where they list a bunch of crimes, but the fact is he didn't take it off of anybody's person. He didn't use force, and he's going to say, I assumed it was lost. But again, there's going to be a statute in Pennsylvania that requires them to do something in an attempt to find the rightful owner. And he knew he wasn't the rightful owner. So there you go. But man charged for picking up money envelope in parking lot. It contained $286. And along with that, he's probably going to get in trouble for the license, registration, and insurance being suspended. So John, thanks for sending that. It's a fascinating concept from northcentralpa.com and written by the staff. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. If I agreed with you, we'd both be wrong.